Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, I just wanted to check that something was working. So I am going to you live. I'm coming to you live on my Facebook page, on my YouTube channel, and over here on Instagram too. So thank you for joining me. I thought I would just share some insights that I've noticed and been seeing in real time. So if you've never seen me before, I'm a visibility specialist, which means that I help you to be seen, I help you to be heard, I help you to feel more confident and comfortable with putting your work out there. So I'm going to say hi to those of you that have joined me on Insta and those of you that have joined me all over Facebook. Now, if you're watching this from YouTube even, please feel free, if you've got questions whilst I'm streaming, please feel free to type your questions in because I will be able to answer them and I'll be able to put them up on the screen. But let's get cracking. It's now April. We're now on the 4th of April. And one of the things as I go around a network, as I take questions, hey, Mally Fresh from all the way from Barbados, thank you for joining. One of the things that seems to be coming up over and over and over again is this thought about what it actually means to be visible. And I wanted to share, hopefully some tips as well, but some themes of what's current right now, not what was current 10 years ago, not what is current if you are this type of person. So if you feel like the stuff that you do, that you want to put out there, the work that you do that you want to put out there really makes a difference to people's lives, is super important, and you want fresh ways to do it without having to direct message strangers that you don't know on social media, or you don't want to feel like you're having to be forceful, and you don't want to do tactics. If you don't like doing tactics or hacks because on some level they make you feel uncomfortable, this is for you. So I've just got somebody on Instagram asking me, am I okay? I am now. Yes, I did have COVID. I'm recovering. I feel better in my body. My energy levels are a bit low still. I'll say that, but I'm good. Compared to so many other people that really, really struggled throughout this time. So, okay, here are the 5 things that I am going to talk about this month. The 5 themes of this month are about, number 1, doing it differently, whatever that it is, the thing that you do for you. The second thing is vulnerability, how to apply it, where to apply it, and how to not overdo it. Because you, I'm sure, have been on the other end of somebody's quote unquote story. And when you've been on the end of their story, it just doesn't feel that great. And I'm just moving my tripod for Instagram so that they're not seeing the side of my head. So I'm going to share a little bit about that. I'm going to share about fear. This has been coming up a lot recently for lots of different people in lots of different ways. So I'm going to share some stuff on there. I'm going to talk about the sales element of being visible. So whether you're an employee who's in a meeting that wants to sell your idea, you're still having to sell your idea. Sometimes you're having to sell yourself. And sometimes this gets overlooked. But if you're a business owner, freelancer, speaker, author, and a consultant, and you know that you want to sell your services, I want to talk a little bit about the synergy between visibility and sales and why it's so important. And also, I'm going to finish on direction. Okay, so let me come back so I can see your screen. Okay, so I realize that I can do this. Now, this is not going to make any sense if you're looking at Instagram, but somebody said, hey up there on Facebook, and they've said, hey up, Miss Jenny, good to see you back in the flow. I happen to know that is the lovely Ian, who helps people who are struggling with their tech crap. So do seek him out. Okay, so first things first, and by the way, if you're watching this on Instagram and you're thinking, oh, I want to see what she's showing, just Google Jenny Kovacs, visibility specialist, on YouTube, and you'll find me, and do maybe subscribe to the channel while you're there. Okay, so first things first, I'm just going to block out the screen. So the first theme that has been coming up is this notion of doing things differently. Do it differently. What does that mean when it comes to being visible? What does it mean for you in April 2022? And what has it meant for some people in March? So traditionally, we have seen a lot of people talk about standing out. And let me move the right way. As you can see behind me, you would have seen I'd taken a picture of these tulips right behind me, and you can see the one in the middle is genuinely standing out. But I know that historically you've been told, for example, that you need to stand out to be seen or stand out to be noticed. And for many people, for many years, that's made them feel uncomfortable. And I want to reassure you that whilst that is one way of standing out, it's not the only way. Because I have been so blessed to work with some really amazing people, both individually and at companies as well, and teams. And one of the things that keeps reoccurring, even more so now in this kind of, I want to say post-pandemic world, but I guess we're still in it, is the ability for people to stand out in a way that's almost silent. The good news is that if you feel sometimes like you're maybe more introverted or shy or extroverted, if you feel like you need to be somehow polished to put yourself out there, I want to reassure you that you don't. These people have been doing really big things in the world, really changing lives and really helping people. So how do you start by doing it differently? I wrote down some things to say because I didn't want to forget. So how you do it differently, and we'll talk a little bit more about this on the next point, but it's about really being comfortable in your own skin. And despite what you may have been told about kind of, being loud and clickbait, and all of that kind of stuff, that's not actually the thing that is going to have you making a difference to the world, the surrounding, the people around you that you want to make a difference to. I want to encourage you to find your center, is the way I'm going to say it. Find your center. In each and every one of us, we have this inner calm place, this inner, I want to say, the inner peaceful place, the place that we can go to and be 100% ourselves. And when it comes to being visible, whether it's within a corporation, a network, an organization, within your business, within your industry, it's really important to know why you're different, the difference that you bring, and to be really comfortable with that. So here are some of the things that I would advise for you to do if you have maybe kind of gone off the path, because for many of you who listen to my stuff and watch my videos, you're pretty well aligned people. Here's why you shouldn't keep looking at yourself in the camera. Because when you see a bit of hair sticking out, you want to put it back in. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. I would say probably about 80% of my audience are used to some sort of daily practice, whether it is meditation. And I want to call them like daily habits more than daily practices, because for some of you, it's reading. Some of you will journal. Some of you will write. And quite recently, I was speaking to somebody who's writing a book. They're in the process of writing a book. It's going to be published by a traditional publishing house. And one of the things that they talked about was, they said, in my journey, the thing that has mattered the most to me has been journaling on a daily basis. And they've been doing this for well over a decade. Now, they're not the only person. I have seen, I've seen so many people and spoken to so many people over the years that have had some sort of journaling practice, some sort of consistent writing practice. And it's one that I'm kind of like building my muscles on as well. But it's really important when you do things differently to really be able to tap into who you are so that you know how to do things differently. So the second thing I would say is set your day up your way. People talk a lot about morning practices, like the best way to start the day. And for many, not having the news maybe being the first thing that you dive into, because that can derail your day. Not having social media be the first thing that you dive into, that can derail your day. You know, I regularly contribute to a room on Clubhouse, and that normally starts at 8:30 in the morning. So when I'm going to be in that room, I make sure that I do something before that to reclaim my day. But there's other parts of the day we don't reclaim. Too many of you busy business owners and busy professionals are not having lunch. You're skipping meals and not having lunch. That is not going to set you up for your day to do things differently. Too many of you end up being on your phones, and maybe like have a look at what's on your phone. And I share this because this is something that I did really recently. I looked at how much time I was spending through different apps on my phone, where I was spending my time most, and things like that. And I realized that I was probably spending too much time in, say, one area when really what was beneficial to the work that I was doing, and in order for it to be different in another area. So I recalibrated that. You know, I know that throughout lockdown, a lot of people really got into binge watching Netflix and things like that. And that's okay, actually. However, if you find yourself saying, I just don't have enough time in the day to do the things that I want to do, then have a look at where you are spending your time so that you can recalibrate that and spend it more where you want to spend it and who you want to spend it with. So definitely have a look at that. There's so much more I could say about doing it differently, but I won't. So the next thing that I'm going to point out is this one: vulnerability. Vulnerability wasn't created for you to market yourself in some way. Sorry, I've got an alarm going off, which is another thing I do to do my day differently. So what I'm going to do is, for those of you that are watching on Instagram, if you want to see the rest of this video, do hop over to my YouTube channel or even to my Facebook page if you're on Facebook, The Queen of Being Seen. And I will see you then. Bye for now. Okay, so I'm coming back to you. Vulnerability. Too many people have emulated what they've seen out there. And what they've seen out there are people sharing vulnerable stories. And they thought, oh, well, they've got a big audience. They've shared this vulnerable story, so I'm going to share the same thing. So what I do want to say about that is it's really important to share from the scar and not the wound. And what do I mean by that? If you are traveling through something at the moment, if you're upset by something at the moment, if something's moving you and you're still healing from it, go through it and allow it to heal. Now, this has also been demonstrated really beautifully by a number of, like, not just well-known high-profile people, but a number of people around me that I've seen that are really putting themselves out there in a great way. When you can share from the wound, you get the insight of what you would do differently, what you learned. And this is totally appropriate, regardless of the thing that you do. You know, whether you're a coach, whether you're a speaker, whether you're a mentor, whether you are a consultant, a business owner, a salesperson, a founder, there are always stories within your own life that you can share that really inspire people. All it does is humanizes you. That's it. It humanizes you. It humanizes you and lets people know that you understand them. And for those of you that have ever done any of my video work, you'll know that I talk about acing your audience. And one of those key pillars is having people know that you get them, that you understand them. So when you're being vulnerable, let people see who you are without kind of like presumption, without them presuming who they think you are. Because often, especially when people haven't got to know you yet, when you're being visible, if they haven't got to know you, the presumptions they make might not be true. Okay, so the point of vulnerability is to let people see you and know who you are, like the good, the bad, the ugly. Okay, it's not a marketing strategy. It's not a way to get more of an audience. It's not a way to get more attention. It's simply a way of sharing insights that people get you. So if you're sharing that, the theme that I've seen this month in terms of being, and I can see kind of moving forward in terms of vulnerability, is share your vulnerability in a way that matches the thing that you're putting out there in the world. You know, I've got lots of vulnerable stories that I could share, but they don't they don't really speak to visibility. So I don't share them. You know, I don't do it just for the watch and people to kind of like look from the outside in. So the next theme 3, is fear. Now, here's what I'm going to say about fear. I'm not going to spout the usual false evidence appearing real, although I could. I'm not going to spout that, and here's why. One of the things that I see most about fear is how much the driven professional tolerates it. And what do I mean by that? Anyone who's worked with me closely will know that I speak a lot about tolerations. What do we tolerate? And quite often, your big goals, your big dreams, your big plans, you might think that you don't do them because you're feeling fearful, when in fact, it's normally because you haven't hit your kind of toleration level. If as a business owner, you get used to having clients that are just okay to work with, do your head in a bit, but you know, you kind of get on with it, that could be a toleration in itself. If you know that you want to speak and you've wanted to do it, you know, for a long time in your business, sometimes that fear of not wanting to speak out is our tolerance level. Yeah, it might be your comfort zone, but it's a tolerance level. So what I want to encourage you to do is have a look at what you're putting up with, what you're tolerating, what you've been saying to yourself for ages. I talk about this when I talked about running the London Marathon. For many years, I was really inspired by people running. And even though I wasn't a long distance runner of any shape or form, I kept saying, I'm going to do it one day. I'm going to do it one day, until I literally got sick of the sound of my own voice saying, I'm going to do it one day. And I did something about it. Now, as luck would have it, I put myself in for the 2019 ballot in April 2019. Having been inspired once again, standing on the streets of London and watching all the marathon runners run past. And by some miracle, I got into the ballot and ran a marathon in 2020. Now, I haven't changed to be a person that wants to run a marathon every year, but I do want the experience of running the London Marathon on the London route. So again, I have put myself forward and I will be running the London Marathon this October 2022. Now, that might seem very kind of noble and everything else, but that came from me tolerating something that I didn't have, or, you know, for something that I actually wanted to do. So dig deep, write them down, journal them down. You know, I'm not saying go and do them all at once, but be really mindful as to what fear can stop you from doing. And if you need help with that, you know, there's plenty of people out there that work with confidence and fear, myself included. You know, speak to somebody, work with somebody, so you don't feel like you're being held back. Because a lot of people, when they do, you know, when I'm having these kind of confidential conversations with them, what tends to happen is they have these regrets and wishes and wants and wish that they could have done it. And often it leads to beating yourself up. And I never want that for any of you. Okay, so the fourth one is sales. Now, I did mention this right at the beginning, but here's the thing. If you have a business, it's all well and good being on every single platform on social media, all well and good you posting a gazillion times a day. What I encourage anyone to do is to have a look at what the return on investment is for you. Some people say, oh, you know, I throw money at ads, or I want to put ads or, you know, or anything else like that. But what you really want to be looking for is, especially when it comes to the sales side of it, are your actions reflective of the goals that you want to achieve, the things that you want to do? And I often use visibility, not as a tick off the list of lots of things to do, but being visible in alignment with my goals, in alignment with my sales, in alignment with the things that I want to achieve. It means things like not pushing your service out in front of people who don't even know, you know, what it's about. There's a mismatch, and I'm going to talk about that in the final point. So I think, and I've heard this a lot recently, where sometimes people in the business community are shaming people who want to make money. And I actually don't think it's fair. I really believe that we shouldn't have any isms. And I don't think that anybody should be shamed for anything, whether it's, their race, their religion, their sexuality, their gender identity, the thing that they choose to do. And for me, when it comes to business, money is one of those as well. So if you want to make money, own it, claim it, look at your tolerations. Your tolerations will point into kind of what you want to do and what you don't want to do. But use visibility as your action steps, your stepping stones to make the money that you want, because that's your business, And for those of you who are employed, I get this a lot. I've had a number of private clients over the years who have wanted a promotion. They've wanted to earn more money, and they felt worried that people might see them as quote unquote money grabbing. And here's the thing to remember: your lifestyle can change, very drastically because of money. And I read a quote recently that somebody had said, money can't buy you happiness, but lack of money can certainly cause you misery. So I'll leave that at that point. Okay, so the fifth and the final piece that I want to talk about is direction. And direction, especially if you're being visible, especially if you are looking at your sales, especially if you're feeling fearful, there's an easier way to navigate this. And it's all about knowing where you're going. It's the reason why in the 5 pillars to being more visible, other words known as the Visibility Activator Program, it's why I start with these. It's about your vision. Where are you looking to go to? What are you looking to build? How do you want it to feel when you're doing it? It's about your plan. Your plan will be unique and different to somebody else's, even if they seemingly have a similar business. So don't kind of like press your nose up. That will actually affect you're doing it differently. When you stand out, you'll appear different. You'll feel the comparisonitis and you won't feel like you. So I think that's all I want to say for now. Have your direction, know where you're going. It means that you'll know which people to scoop up along the way and which people to leave alone. It'll mean that you'll know more about who you want to work with and who you enjoy working with, and more of what you want to do. And you'll know it's the right path because it will feel really purpose driven. You'll kind of feel it in your gut here. So I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for joining. If you haven't been able to watch the whole thing, just go back and have a look on the replay. And if you want help from a visibility specialist who has been doing this for 12 years now, then by all means, go to my website, which is jennykovacs.com, or go over to thequeenofbeingseen.com where you can schedule a call. Let's get to the bottom of what you're tolerating. Let's get to the bottom of what you feel worried to share. Let's get to the bottom of whatever fear might be holding you back so that you can be clean on the inside to be visible on the outside. No more hiding. Tall Tulips Day today, I think. Thank you so much for watching. If you know of somebody else who might need to hear any of the messages, please do share this, whether it's from YouTube, my Facebook page, or if you're in my Facebook group, do tag your friends in the comments below. Thank you so much. I'll catch up with your comments right now. Bye for now.